Some of the world's most sacred traditions can feel so ancient, so immense, they almost seem otherworldly. But what if I told you their origins are actually deeply and surprisingly human? So let's dive into this explainer where we're going to uncover the raw, relatable stories. We're talking jealousy, desperation, and even financial troubles behind the rituals and structures surrounding the Kaaba, that iconic black cube at the heart of Islam's most sacred mosque. It sounds a little like the setup to a riddle, doesn't it? But believe it or not, the answer connects three absolutely foundational stories in Islamic tradition. These three very human experiences are literally woven into the physical structure of the Kaaba and the sacred rituals that millions of people perform around it every single year. So let's unpack them one by one. All right, so we're going to start not with some grand divine command, but with one of the most common and powerful human emotions there is: jealousy. We're about to see how the very real feelings of a historical figure helped shape the course of events in this sacred story. That's a tough question, right? I mean, we usually think of jealousy as this purely negative, kind of destructive force. But the source material for this explainer actually gives us a totally different perspective, one that sees it as a natural, even understandable human reaction in certain situations. And this is the key concept right here: excusable jealousy. The idea is that just feeling jealous isn't inherently a sin. It's just a natural response. What's so fascinating is that this suggests a theology that doesn't condemn our innate human feelings, but instead judges the actions that come from them. The critical part, you see, is what you do with that feeling. And this is where Sarah, Prophet Abraham's wife, comes into the story. When his second wife Hajar had a son, Ismail, Sarah felt this completely natural wave of jealousy. And according to the source, this is a perfect example of that excusable emotion. So her request for Abraham to stay away from Hajar isn't presented as some sinful act, but more as a reflection of just how incredibly difficult her situation was emotionally. It really grounds this epic story in a moment of raw, relatable human feeling. Okay, so now we're going to pivot from the emotional side of things to the architectural. We're going to tackle a really common misunderstanding about a very specific crescent-shaped area right next to the Kaaba. This is such a great example of how the source material just clears things right up. A lot of people believe the area known as the Hijr Ismail is his burial place, and that it was always this separate thing from the Kaaba. But we learn here there's really no solid basis for that burial claim. And get this, that whole area was originally part of the Kaaba that Ibrahim and Ismail first built. It was all one building. So what happened? Why is it separate now? Well, the answer is surprisingly practical. It came down to money. Yep. When the tribe of Quraysh came to rebuild the Kaaba centuries later, they just didn't have enough funds to build on the entire original foundation that Ibrahim laid down. So they built a smaller structure and just put a low wall around the part they had to leave out. It's just a brilliant illustration of how a simple economic reality ended up shaping one of the most sacred sites in the entire world. And now for our final story, which brings us right back to Hajar. After being left in the barren valley of Makkah by divine command, she faced this unimaginable trial, a trial that would end up echoing through thousands of years. I mean, just picture this. Hajar is totally alone with her baby in this desolate, empty valley. All her provisions run out. Her son is crying, desperate from thirst. In a sheer panic, she starts running back and forth between two little hills, Safa and Marwa, desperately scanning the horizon for any sign of water, any sign of help. And it was right there, at the absolute peak of her frantic search, that the well of Zamzam miraculously burst from the ground, saving both of them. So how on earth did this intensely personal, desperate moment of struggle become a global legacy? Well, that's the crucial point, isn't it? That frantic, exhausting act of a single mother was not forgotten. No, it was transformed into something eternal, something practiced by millions of people. Today, every single person who performs the Hajj or Umrah, the major and minor pilgrimages to Makkah, walks and runs between those same two hills, Safa and Marwa, 7 times. They are literally reenacting Hajar's desperate search for water. Think about that. A mother's private moment of trial and faith has become a pillar of a global religion. The source material really describes this ritual perfectly. It's not just some historical reenactment. It's seen as a lasting act of worship and a powerful reminder of trust in Allah. Hajar's absolute trust, even in the face of complete despair, is the very soul of the ritual. Her struggle became a symbol of faith for all time. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. From Sarah's jealousy to Quraysh's budget problems to Hajar's frantic search for water, these stories show us the deeply human origins of sacred things. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of our most profound traditions across all cultures and all beliefs didn't start with some grand decree from on high, but with a single person's relatable, powerful human experience?